Hello everyone, tutorial number 8. We are moving to the second half of the semester. The focus of this tutorial is cross-contour and planar analysis. What you'll need is an object such as a banana or a red delicious apple. And I chose these objects because they both have planes and they're not totally symmetric shapes. What I mean by they're having planes is we can see this really clearly with the banana, is that we have this plane here, we have this ridge that we can see shifts from this plane to this plane, and same thing back here where we shift from this plane to this plane. On the red delicious apple, we could imagine this apple as a kind of let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-sided shape. So instead of being a perfectly like a round, like a Granny Smith apple, the Red Delicious has kind of noticeable sides that we could abstract into a geometric form. Other things you could use like a pepper. If you have a house plant, you could use like a leaf or a couple leaves of a plant. But it needs to be something that again has some sense of structure, because that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be analyzing and drawing the idea of abstracting a shape into its geometric form. And then cross contour is a way of drawing to emphasize that, drawing the three-dimensional form. So it's like we're going to be wrapping our objects with our drawing. I'm going to work with the banana because I think it's just going to be a clear example. So what I want us to do is imagine lines going parallel to the curve of this banana, and other lines going tangent to those lines, wrapping around the banana. And I'm actually going to draw them. You don't have to draw on your fruit or your vegetable or whatever you're drawing. But it may make it easier. I mean, you don't need to submit a photograph of that, but I think it could be very useful. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use using a Sharpie or a rollerball pen will work best. A big pen will work alright, but it'll be a little harder to see the lines. Oops. You can see when I get to this ridge line, I'm just going to put a line right there where the one plane transitions to another plane. Okay, let me add a couple lines. Okay, so you can see that I've drawn lines all the way around. And now I'm going to draw lines that go tangential to those lines. So those of you who are math fans know what I mean by a tangent. Basically, we can imagine parallel circles wrapping the form, and they are going to be changing as they move along the banana. So down the middle of the banana, that line is going to go straight across here. Whereas at the end, it's going to go across this way. So each one, the intersection of the horizontal and vertical lines should be right angles everywhere. So yeah, I'll just do that off camera and show you the result. Okay, so we have sort of a gross looking banana now, but you can see what's going on here. Let me change the focus. Okay, so you can see the lines that wrap the form. They're following the curve of the banana. If you're not really, if you're not really sure of the point of this, I would definitely go and draw, or at least move your finger around your object, because especially with these wrapping lines, you'll get an idea, you'll really feel the planes of the form, so you'll be able to tell, okay, here's one plane, here's the second plane, here's the third plane, here's the fourth plane, here's the fifth plane. Alright, the next step is going to be to sketch out your banana in a fairly accurate sketch. I just did this before I started the video, but I took some time to measure it, and I made sure to not just include the outline, but also to include some indication of the plane. So we have this ridge here and this one here, and you probably can't see it that well in the video, but I also have included the structure of this end of the banana. And what we're going to do to this is we are going to add those cross contour lines that we drew out or we imagined drawing out on our object. So I'm just going to go through here, and just like I was doing on the banana, I'm going to draw out a series of lines. I'm going to make these ridge lines a little darker. Okay, I will just finish this up. When I Okay, so now I've added a series of lines that follow the form of the banana, and I'm going to do the tangential lines, so those lines that then wrap the form this way. And as I do that, I'm going to try and emphasize the planes of my banana. And what I mean by that is, so if I'm drawing here, so that's one plane, and then I'm following the next plane, and then it bends a little bit more, so there's a little bit of a change in my line at those two locations where the plane changes. So we have this one, we have this next segment, and then we have that third segment. And I'm just going to do that throughout my whole form. I'll do a couple more and then I'll just pause it and complete the rest. Okay, and the reason this is called cross contour, it's similar to contour line, which we did at the beginning of the semester. That idea of a slow line that follows the form of an object and traces all of its contours, both the outline and any interior line. The cross contour is an imagined line that traces the planes of the form. You'll see with some of the examples that I have linked on Blackboard, and this is similar to what I've talked about before with shading, is that a lot of artists will use a cross contour, the idea of cross contour, along with shading in order to emphasize the three-dimensional nature of the form they're drawing. Okay, so you can see that I have simulated the wrapping of this form, and that the curvature of these lines has changed as I move from one end of the banana to the other. The last thing to do is just to add a little bit of shading. And as I was mentioning, you can use a kind of cross hatching that goes along with your cross contour. So my banana really only has a shadow on this section because of the light direction. I'm going to shade in the tip of the banana as well. Some of the other darker areas. Clean up the edge a little bit. I'm also going to add in a cast shadow. I think it's good practice to not only consider the object you're drawing, but also the space surrounding it. And what I see of that space is the cast shadow. Okay, and there we go. There's our finished cross contour banana with some shading. In addition to the instructions, as I mentioned before, I've linked some images of artists who use cross contour along with shading. I've also linked a video from the Otis College of Art and Design. It's an art school in Los Angeles. They have a pretty good tutorial drawing an apple in a similar way. It's a little bit more focused on shading, but they review cross contour and that idea of planar analysis. So imagining the planes, the geometric forms that make up a shape. Okay, I will see you all next week. Have a good weekend.